The debris field stretched across 3 kilometers of twisted metal and shattered dreams. Oliver adjusted his salvage scanner, boots crunching against the scorched earth of Epsilon 7's wasteland. Another day, another crash site. The Galactic Council's war with the Krevtar Empire had turned this sector into a graveyard. He'd seen 100 wrecks like this. Colony ships mostly, refugees fleeing the front lines hoping to find sanctuary in the outer systems. Most never made it. The scanner pinged. Life signs. Oliver's heart quickened as he sprinted toward the reading, his toolkit rattling against his hip. 37 crash sites he'd worked, and he'd never found a survivor. The human salvager didn't let himself hope too much. The scanner could be reading anything. A malfunctioning medical pod, a dying AI core, but he had to check. The wreckage belonged to a Vulpini transport vessel. Oliver recognized the elegant curves beneath the carnage, the craftsmanship of a species that valued beauty even in their machinery. The Fox people were traders and diplomats, neutral parties who'd tried to stay out of the war. Apparently the Krevtar hadn't cared about neutrality. He found her pinned beneath a collapsed bulkhead, rust-colored fur matted with blood and carbon scoring. 2 russet ears lay flat against her skull, and a magnificent tail, now tangled in debris, twitched weakly. Her eyes opened as he approached, amber irises focusing on him with surprising clarity. "Stay still," Oliver said, though he doubted she understood English. He activated his portable jack, positioning it carefully. "I'm going to get you out." The Vulpini watched him work, those alien eyes tracking his every movement. Oliver had encountered her species before at trading posts, graceful, refined beings who spoke in melodic tones and conducted business with ceremonial precision. They typically regarded humans with polite distance, the way one might view an interesting but slightly barbaric species that had only recently discovered faster-than-light travel. The jack hissed as it lifted the bulkhead. Oliver slid into the gap, ignoring the groan of unstable metal. His scanner showed internal injuries, but nothing immediately fatal. She'd been lucky. He wrapped support bandages around her torso, administered a broad-spectrum medical shot from his kit, and prepared to pull her free. "This is going to hurt," he warned. She made a sound, half whimper, half growl, but didn't fight as he carefully extracted her from the wreckage. Outside, in the harsh light of Epsilon 7's red sun, he got his first good look at her. She was young, maybe equivalent to mid-20s in human years, with intricate markings along her cheeks that might have been tattoos or natural patterns. Her clothing, once elegant robes, hung in tatters. Oliver carried her to his rover, setting her gently in the passenger seat. She watched him with unnerving intensity as he started the engine and headed back toward his settlement. "I'm Oliver," he said, pointing to himself. "You're safe now." Her ears perked slightly at his voice. Then in accented but clear English, she responded, "Anna." He nearly drove off the track. "You speak English?" "Trade language," Anna said quietly, wincing as the rover bounced over rough terrain. "All Vulpini learn many languages. For commerce." She paused, studying him. "You are human. Guilty as charged. You came back for me, in the wreckage. You could have taken supplies and left." Oliver shrugged, uncomfortable with her scrutiny. "Couldn't leave you there." Something shifted in Anna's expression, surprise, perhaps, or calculation. She fell silent for the rest of the journey. That was 3 weeks ago. Oliver's settlement was modest, a converted cargo hauler that served as home, workshop, and warehouse. He'd set Anna up in the spare quarters, expecting her to recover and move on. The nearest Vulpini colony was 2 jumps away. He'd even offered to arrange transport. She'd refused. "I have nowhere to go," Anna had said simply. "My family was on that ship. My entire caravan." Her tail had curled around her legs, a gesture Oliver had learned meant deep emotion. The Krevtar destroyed everything, so she stayed. And in staying, she'd begun to change his solitary existence in ways Oliver hadn't anticipated. She was curious about everything. Human music fascinated her. She'd spend hours listening to Oliver's old collection of classical rock, ears twitching to the rhythms. She learned to cook human food, though she added Vulpini spices that made his eyes water. She reorganized his entire parts inventory with ruthless efficiency, creating a cataloging system that actually made sense, and she never left his side. Not in the figurative sense, though she did follow him around the settlement like a russet shadow, but in the literal sense. When Oliver went out on salvage runs, Anna insisted on coming along. When he worked late in the workshop, she'd curl up on a nearby bench reading or tinkering with her own projects. When he slept, he'd often wake to find her dozing in the chair by his door, as if standing guard. "You don't have to do this," Oliver said one evening, exasperated after she'd followed him on a particularly dangerous salvage mission. "I'm not your responsibility." Anna's ears flattened, a sign of offense he'd learned. "You saved my life. Among my people, such a debt. I don't want your debt. Then what do you want?" She stood, tail lashing in agitation. "You pull me from death. You give me shelter, food, safety. You ask nothing in return. This is not normal. Not for any species I know." Oliver ran a hand through his hair. "It's just what you do. Help people who need it. Why?" "Because." He struggled to articulate what felt instinctive. "Because someone else might not. Because the galaxy's a big cold place and we're all just trying to survive. Because maybe if more people helped each other, we'd have fewer wars and fewer crash sites to salvage." Anna stared at him, those amber eyes impossibly wide. Then she did something completely unexpected. She laughed. A bright musical sound that filled the workshop. "What's funny?" "Humans," she said, shaking her head. "The Galactic Council calls your species reckless, impulsive, barbaric. They say you fight too readily, die too easily, and lack proper civilization." Her tail swayed gently. "But I think they do not understand. You do not help because of debt or honor or cosmic law. You help because you cannot imagine doing otherwise. That's not true of all humans." "No," Anna agreed. "But it is true of you, Oliver." She stepped closer, placing a furred hand on his arm. "That is why I refuse to leave. Not because of debt. Because I have seen something rare in this galaxy. Genuine kindness. And having seen it, I do not wish to walk away." Oliver felt his face heat. "Anna. Also," she added with a sly smile, "you are terrible at inventory management and would starve without my cooking." He laughed despite himself. "Fair point." 2 months later, Oliver stood in his workshop examining the new shielding array Anna had designed. She'd combined Vulpini aesthetic principles with human engineering practicality, creating something both beautiful and functional. It would double their salvage range and significantly improve their safety margins. Our salvage range, he mused aloud. When had he started thinking of it as theirs? Anna looked up from her workbench where she was modifying a scanner unit. Her ears perked in that way that meant she was pleased. "Yes, our salvage range." "You know," Oliver said, "the Vulpini colony sent another message. They still want to offer you asylum. I sent them my refusal this morning." Anna's tail swished contentedly. "I told them I have already found asylum. With a human salvager on a backwater planet. With the person who taught me that the galaxy, cold as it is, still has warmth for those who look." She smiled, showing delicate fangs. "Besides, someone must keep you from dying in unstable wreckage." Oliver couldn't argue with that logic. Somewhere along the way, his solitary existence had become a partnership. His home had become their home. And the fox girl he'd pulled from the wreckage, the one who'd refused to leave his side, had become the best thing to ever happen to him. Outside, another salvage beacon pinged on their shared console. "Shall we?" Anna asked, already reaching for her gear. Oliver grinned. "Together." As they headed out into the wasteland, human and Vulpini side by side, Oliver reflected on the strange path that had brought them here. The galaxy was indeed a big, cold place, but somehow it felt a little warmer with Anna beside him, and he suspected she felt the same way.